of you want to be exceptional? Yeah. So I mean, we've gone into self-employment. Most of us are living our lives in some sort of a business. We're trying to make a better life for ourselves, and we're trying to push ourselves. So none of us want to settle for being average. We want to actually be exceptional or extraordinary. So in my mind, being exceptional means that I'm the expert, that I'm achieving great success, and that I'm loving what I'm doing. I get out of bed and I have passion for what I do. So this is an interesting concept that was introduced to me at a conference last spring by a gentleman by the name of Steve Lovell. He is he's actually a speaking coach, but also a mentor and a business consultant. So he's come up with this gauge that helps give people an idea of where they are in terms of their business. So typically when you start your business, you may be sort of at the obscurity stage where you're sort of not recognized, you're not known in the industry for being a professional in that space. So you're virtually unknown. Then as you sort of have been in business a while, you may have developed to the point where you're competitive. You are recognized among people in that industry as somebody that's moving and shaking. You may have a bit of an awareness, but you may lack differentiation. You may not actually have your niche or your specific differentiator to put you ahead of your peers in that industry. When we shift into the branded category, we start to become known for a specific brand. We're recognized because of the experience that our clients are talking about. Our clients are sharing their results, they're sharing their experience, and they're getting that message out to the masses. So you're starting to hear a little bit about the rumbles about your business, and that's a good place to be. The ultimate place is to be known as the one. And the one is the person that everybody's talking about. People are referring, you're heavily sought after, and you are recognized as the expert, the one that everybody wants to deal with in your particular industry. So I think that for most of us, we are aspiring to get ourselves to the point where we're the one. But how do we do that? I want to ask you this question. How many of you at this point feel like you are the one in your particular industry? So raise your hand. So pay attention to who feels they are the one. So that's awesome. So we've got some exceptional business owners in our midst. How many of you feel like maybe you're sort of approaching the branded section? Okay, awesome. So I think pay attention to who raised their hands, because these are people that are moving and shaking in their industries. They are the people that you want to be rubbing shoulders with because they are the experts. They are surrounding themselves with people that are actually making a difference. And you want to elevate your success, you want to be with people that are doing the same. So the one is known, I think we've shared this, the one is known as the best in their industry. They may be considered expensive. They may be even hard at times to get a meeting with. But it is not a bad thing to create a little bit of scarcity. You don't want to be sitting there waiting by your phone, answering the phone on the first ring when somebody calls you. You actually want them to feel like you are busy, that you are actually in demand, and they place value on you, and they actually respect your time. Oftentimes when I answer the phone now, my clients are so conditioned to getting my assistant, they're like, oh, I'm sorry to waste your time. I just really wanted to speak to your assistant. And to me that sort of portrays that message that they understand that my time is valuable. Most of the time I'm in meetings or with clients, and so it is hard for me to get to the phone, but I do my best to do it. But it just their reaction kind of surprises me when they say, oh, I just want to change an appointment, or I just want to do this or that. They don't want to waste my time with that, which is lovely. So it shows me that maybe I'm moving a little bit towards, I consider myself probably in the branded stage, but I'd love to get to the point where I'm the one, but I'm working on steps to get myself there. So how do we become the one? Planning is everything. Making sure that we actually put plans in motion to actually move ourselves back to a better place. How do we become a greater version of who we are? An hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing. And when we start to look at putting goals in place, if somebody says, I have 10 goals, I think I shared this with you a couple months ago. If you say, oh, I've got 10 goals, you really don't know what your priorities are. I think you really only should have 3 or 4 goals in terms of knowing exactly what you're trying to achieve and moving you in that direction. If you've got 10 things, you're going to be very scattered. You're not going to be able to achieve all 10. So I encourage you to sort of really think about what it is that's most important to moving your business forward. And if you're actually developing personal goals, then you're actually looking at the things that you need to do in your personal space to move you along. Now, the question is, how do we get to that next level? To become the one. And these are the 4 things that Stephen Lowell had identified as far as the areas of our focus that can help shift us in that direction. And so the first one is that outstanding client results and experience. You want your clients, you want your associates, you want people that you're surrounding yourself with to be talking about you in a positive way, and you want it to be very specific. You want to be considered you want to have a consistent brand, you want a professional image, and you want great client experiences. So think about what you want to be known for and how can you serve your clients with excellence. What can you do to make a difference in your clients' lives? And how do you go that one extra step beyond to make that experience exceptional? So in order to get your clients to start raving about you, so the second is raving fans, in order to get them raving, you need to give them repeatable stories that they can actually be able to sit down and say, okay, Heidi is known for this, or Carl is known for being the speaking expert, or Mark is known as being the exceptional marketing wizard. So you want to give them something simple that they can actually repeat. And so I'm going to give you an example of a tennis instructor. So if I asked you, how many of you need a tennis instructor or know somebody that does? Anybody? No? Okay, we've got one. Okay, so if I rephrase that and say, okay, as a tennis instructor, what I do is I take kids of all ages, take them out on the tennis court, we run them around, we exhaust them, and we send them back to their parents. Now, how many of you think you know somebody or would like to have a tennis instructor? I think you get that dramatic increase by seeing people and relating it to something that they can actually utilize. So making your message very succinct and very clear and simple is important. I don't know how many of you are struggling with your own elevator pitches, but I have been trying to develop one that I think is simple and relatable, and I've been working with Carl to try and do that. And it's not an easy task. I think that when we get that message, I mean, I think because I come from an industry where there's lots of jargon and there's lots of technical terms and things, it's easy to sort of get caught up in that. So I'm trying to simplify it so that anybody could say, oh, I know exactly what Heidi does, and they could actually relay that so it's a repeatable story that clients and people could talk about to refer me. So that's an ongoing struggle, and I'm sure some of you are dealing with the same challenges. The third thing is superior insights and expertise. And I think in order to become the one, I think it's really important that you're known as the expert, that you have insights that you can share with the client that bring them to the table wanting more. You're always sharing with them information that they know nothing about, or that you're constantly pushing them to think, oh, I hadn't heard of that or hadn't considered that. So in order to constantly be that expert, what do you have to do? You need to constantly be sharpening your saw. You need to be reading. You need to have a curious mind. You need to be expanding your areas of expertise in your specific industry. So never sort of saying, okay, I've mastered it and I'm good. I don't know about you guys, but in my industry, there is no sitting still. If I sit still, I am so far behind. There's constant change. The regulations are changing. The products are changing. And the client's needs change. So it's important that we stay step with that and keep moving forward. And the final step, now this is not an exhaustive list, but in terms of constantly increasing your circle of influence, making sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that are at that branded stage or above. I think that's an important distinction, that we surround ourselves with people that have that same desire for success and excellence. And so when you surround yourself with people like that, they typically come with a circle of their own center of influences that you can then become associated with and can grow and expand your circle. So I think that it's important that you continue to circle yourselves with those people. But the other thing that it really does for you is it challenges you to elevate your game to their level. If you're playing in a pond with people that are up here in terms of their execution and their success, you want to be there. You want to figure out a way that you can get to that level. So you're going to do what it takes to move yourself along and push yourself. So now that we know sort of the areas that we need to focus on in terms of moving things forward, I think it's important that we then start to set goals and identify the areas of our life that we can move forward. How many of you have goals that you've written down? Not many. Okay. How many of you guys have done a vision board? Okay, good. I think that it's really important that you actually commit your goals to paper or electronically if you're so inclined. But putting those goals on paper makes you accountable. It makes your target visible, and that it gets you moving in the right direction. If you don't have them written down, you're just sort of meandering through life. You don't really necessarily have a specific plan. And so what I want to talk to you about is setting those goals and then putting an action plan in place to help move you forward. Now for those of you that may be struggling, I think it's really important that you actually start to develop the reason we do what we do. And I think that when you look at the basis for putting together your goals and moving you down that path, having clarity about who you are, what you want to be, how you're going to get there, and having a plan to do that is really important. But a lot of it comes down to understanding your why. How many of you guys understand why you do what you do? Good, that's good. For anybody that's struggling, Simon Sinek has a great book out called Finding Your Why. I would encourage you to go through it. It's kind of like a workbook. It's a great resource to sort of help identify the areas in your life that may be sort of lighting that fire under you and pushing you forward. So for me, it comes down to sort of my core values. I look at the areas of my life that are most important to me: my health, my happiness, my success, my family, my love, and my friends, gratitude, honesty, and authenticity. Those are sort of the frameworks for when I make a decision about how I allocate my energy and my time. I think back to the things that are really important to me and see if it makes sense to make those decisions and set those goals for myself, if they align with what it is my core values are. So they're the basis for me setting my goals and allocating my time. So when we look at planning and setting our goals, I think it's really important that we have a bit of a framework for the specific measurable aspects of the goals. So if you're identifying your 3 or 4 top goals that you want to move forward with, make sure that they're specific and there's something that you can be held accountable to. So a nice example of a formula to write your goal is to have a specific, say, increase a specific measure from X to Y by a certain time frame. So for example, increase my sales from 15,000 to 25,000 by the end of this calendar year. That's a specific goal. It's very measurable. You can tell exactly how you're doing in terms of that target. And so when we look at making those goals, you also want to make sure that the goal that you've set for yourself is a stretch goal. You're not just going to set this little easy goal that you can just trip over. You want something that's actually going to get you out of bed fired up and pushing forward. So making sure that it's a challenging and a stretch goal is really important. In January, I had set a goal for myself. In first quarter was to see 60 clients in 6 weeks. This is a bit of a stretch for me. I typically see 8 clients a week, and so to bump it up to 10 was a bit of a stretch. With some snowstorms and some sickness and things that happened, it didn't happen. But it was an intent to try and see as many clients as I can and increase that client experience, making sure that my clients felt that they were proactively being taken care of and that we are constantly looking at their portfolios and their insurance and making sure that they are being seen. The second thing that I was doing that was in an attempt to increase my raving fans was to ask for Google reviews. When we have Google reviews online. Obviously, when people are Googling our businesses, it's important that they find and see other people talking about us in a positive way. So I was reaching out to new clients as I see them to say, hey, would you mind doing a Google review for me? I would really appreciate having your comments, because oftentimes they'll say verbally to me what's going on, like, I really appreciate your support, and I really, what you've done for me is just exceptional. So having them take that one step further and putting it into a Google review means that other people are going to see that experience and help to promote my business. The third thing that I identified was the bottom one, actually, developing a signature talk for speaking opportunities. So about 10 weeks ago, I signed up for Carl Richards' presentation course, and I have been working with him on a weekly basis. We have con calls and are starting to develop our own sort of signature talks. And actually, this Friday is the finale. We're actually going to deliver our talks. So it's been quite a process, and it's something that's definitely pushed me outside of my comfort zone. I'm not a public speaker, so I figured that was a skill that I wanted to hone and I wanted to work on. And so as a part of my development and pushing my expertise forward, that was something that I felt was important to do. And the last thing, the number 4 thing on the list, was to increase your centers of influence. So I try to attend 3 to 4 networking events per month. Things like this, breakfast meetings, other areas where I can get myself in and around other people that are moving and shaking. And so it's increasing my connection to other people. It's increasing my branding because people become aware of me. And hopefully, along the way, we stumble across some raving fans. So that's sort of how I align my primary intent was to show you this so that you understand the framework of the specific goal may have 3 or 4 or 5 action items that you need to be moving forward to make your plan. When I said people have 10 goals, well, sometimes they differentiate, or they're putting actions in the goal section, and I think it's important that you break it down and say, okay, what is it that, so the third one here is to add 30 new ideal clients to my roster. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you would be looking to do the same. Adding ideal clients is the way we make money and the way we have fun, because we love dealing with those kinds of people. So what do we do in our businesses that help to drive an increase in those ideal clients? You're trying to specifically target and market to that type of person. You're trying to get in front of those kinds of people. And so I think that this sort of laying it out this way helps maybe break it down so that you can focus your attention in areas that may help move things along. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is that I'm a firm believer in the laws of attraction. Anybody know or a big fan? So I love this quote by Deepak Chopra. Inherent in every intention and desire is the mechanics for the fulfillment. And when we introduce an intention in our pure potentiality, we put infinite organizing power to work for us. I find in my life that if I set an intention and I give it energy, I get results. And so I think that that's this laws of attraction. If we want something in our life, we want to manifest it, we have to think about it, we have to create that intention. And so I want to share with you, about 4 years ago, a local group of businesswomen got together and said, hey, let's do a vision board. I have never done a vision board before, but I love all things creative, so I said I'm game to do some cutting and pasting. And so, as a result, this is what was created. So, just a piece of canvas, but we stuck on pictures of things that were important to us, pictures that resonated, things that we wanted to attract into our life. And disappointed I didn't actually put the year on the back, but I'm pretty sure it was 2000. It was about 4 years ago. So, but what I've been blown away with is the things that I put on here, one by one, have started to come into my life. Still working on the six-pack abs, but it's in progress. but one by one, all of these things are happening. So I think that it's important that you write your goals down. I think it's important even if it's a visual reminder. I actually have this in my office. I have it up on the top of a bookshelf. So when I sit at my desk, I can see it. My clients don't necessarily see it unless they look up. But it's a visual reminder to me to help push towards the various areas that are important to me. And one. Yeah. So it's been a work in progress, and I think it's exciting when I look at it and go, oh yeah, all of these things are starting to come into reality. Um, I wanted to share a little story. Very good for a quick story, another sideline. So in January, I opened my own office. I started my own financial planning firm at the corner of Mid Park and Taylor Kidd. I originally had told folks that I was going to be at the Fractal space, but I ended up finding a space that was perfect. It has lots of nice natural light, lots of space, and it's about 4 times the size of what I would have had I gone with the other option. So it's worked out really, really well. When I got into the space, it was intended to be a positive, good energy environment where I can grow my business and have fun and thrive. But while I was doing this, I sort of had put out there to the universe that I was thinking that this would be a really cool space for other women business owners to gravitate and create their own successes. And so a couple weeks ago, I received a phone call from a very passionate business owner that was looking to take her business to the next level. And so after a couple weeks of discussions, we've decided that she's going to join in and work in my practice. And she's going, so there's some other movement afoot as well that may just result in exactly what I put out to the universe. So I'm excited for the possibility of what that will bring in terms of energy and excitement and passion to my office. I will only take on people that I think have and share that same passion and focus on putting the clients first. So I want to caution you that you be careful what you put out to the universe. Be very specific because it may just happen. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the area of increasing your expertise and your insights. So I think that it's really critical that we actually continuously feed our minds. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about some of the things that I'm reading. My husband calls it the throne, but it's my rocking chair. And surrounding my rocking chair is all of my stacks of books that I would like to get to and all these different things that I try to read. And so the constant quest for reading and learning more is a huge part of my life. And I know that for high performance achievers, they are also they're actively reading and trying to learn more. For me, I find that I struggle with my eyes at the end of the day after being on the computer and serving clients all day. I find my eyes are tired. So what I've discovered is that podcasts and TED Talks are a great way for me to continue that learning, but it takes the strain off of the eyes. And so I actually have been listening to some amazing speakers and loving what I'm hearing. So it's so inspiring to hear other people's stories and their ventures. So my podcasts just play on solid repeat. So as soon as I get in the car, it picks up where I left off, and every time I go, whether it be a 10-minute drive or a 30-minute drive, I'm hearing an inspiring story or a different podcast that I have downloaded as being something that I'm interested in. So I would encourage you all to explore podcasts and books and things. This is actually another book that I've just been working my way through, High Performance Habits. I had the opportunity of hearing Brenda Burchard speak last fall when I went to the Archangel Summit, which is held every fall in Toronto, and it's a phenomenal conference. It's a one-day conference on a Saturday. Amazing speakers, but Brenda Burchard was there, motivational speaker, but also sort of a high-performance coach. He coaches people like presidents and Oprah and people like that. But this book is chocked full of really awesome sort of insights and ideas to help move that needle forward in terms of moving you in the right direction. The other thing I can't stress enough is the importance of self-care. For me, that means yoga. Meditation, I'm not very good at. I've tried. My brain doesn't sit still long enough. It's a work in progress. But being mindful and being grateful for all of the things, all of the blessings that we have in our life, I think is an important component. And health and fitness. I have finally started to put my health and my fitness as a priority. Last October, I started working out with a personal trainer. I realized for me, in order to get to the gym, I have to have somebody there waiting, going, "Okay, Heidi, it's your turn." And if I don't have that, it doesn't happen. So I've learned that about myself, that in order to get me moving forward, that I actually have to have an appointment. I have to have that scheduled into my calendar. And I'm happy to say that putting that focus on my fitness and my health, I have never felt more energetic, more alive, and more strong. My daughter will be mortified if I flex my pipes, but I'm starting to get some definition, which is exciting. So it's nice to know that when we put some effort and some energy there, we can actually shift the way we're feeling about ourselves and the energy that we have to bring to the table for both our families but also our businesses. One other thing that I wanted to mention when it comes to podcasts or audiobooks or things like that, the public library has a library app called Libby. For those of you that don't know, it's a great way to download free books that you can actually you can download it to your phone, listen to it wherever you are. So if you're going away on a holiday, you can download a few books and have them there for you to listen to when you're laying on the beach or wherever you happen to be. So there's lots of free resources out there as well that you can take advantage of. So I guess my main pitch is don't settle for being average. I want you guys to realize that excellence is the gradual result of always striving to do better. So I want you guys to visualize what it is that a greater version of yourself looks like, and start acting like that person. How do you move to that way of being? You've got to eliminate the limiting beliefs. You've got to maybe even sometimes eliminate things and people in you that may be holding you back. But be intentional about improving your performance in the areas that you want to get better. Figure out the skills that you need to develop to help you be more successful this year, and schedule time to work on those skills. Never stop learning, and always be extraordinary in everything that you do. Thank you.